And good evening, everybody. What is going on? Rich here. Hey.
Hey.
Oh, yeah, we got to have our...
Yeah, we have to have our backdrop.
Yeah, a lot of things going on in the studio tonight. Guys, welcome back for 3 and Out, brought to you by MyGarageBar.com and, of course, Disruption Network. Wow, we're right into it. Just like that. The
Just
curtain's
like that.
happening. Everything's just happening.
Yeah.
It's all happening, right? Isn't that what they say? It's
Pretty
all
much,
happening.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. What a crazy... I'm telling you, between today and tomorrow, I am literally like operating like a... What do they call, like a chicken with my head cut off.
Yeah, pretty much.
Running crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now you know my life.
I do. Actually, I'm about to know a little bit more.
Yeah, you are.
Right? You know what? What's going on? Oh, there we are. There's your...
Hi.
There's
there
our
we
pretty
are.
mugs.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
How come I only got half of you? This is what happens when you guys come in at the last second. Jamie was in the other room.
I'm sorry.
Jamie, scooch over, could you?
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, I get close to Moss here.
Oh, I
Moss,
can
you got to
scooch.
scooch over
All right.
too. There,
Scooch over.
you guys are going to get a lot
There we go.
friendlier. Right
There you go.
There we go.
Even a little more so. There you go.
God. All right.
Yeah. See how that
I'm
goes?
way off.
We're struggling.
Yeah, we're all in there. But I heard you had a very funny story for me today.
Yes, which you probably saw at least 2 missed calls before Moss picked up on the third one. So the reason for the frantic phone calls is, and it was also, I was trying to tell you I was going to be late, like 5 minutes or so.
Oh.
Yeah, and the big reason is I left campus and then bought a puppy.
What?
You bought a puppy.
That's what I was doing. Yeah, I got Sam a puppy for Christmas. For a former student of mine, actually, randomly mentioned this to me in lab last week, and said she had 3 puppies, so Yorkshire Terriers, that she was trying to get rid of. And I said, I need a puppy. I wanted to get one for Sam for Christmas anyway. She said, no problem. She sent me a message saying she's like, I'm in the area. I'll drop her off at your house if you're home. I was like, yeah, come on, but I got like 5 minutes.
Is it supposed to be a surprise Christmas present?
No, she has it already. She's home. She's
I
home
was
with
like,
the
is
dog.
she listening right
Yeah,
now?
she's home. She's home with the dog already. So.
She don't watch this show.
Yeah, and she's not. she doesn't want to listen to me when I'm home, let alone when I'm on the radio talking football. So
You can say it on here, man. It's your secret's totally safe.
oh yeah, it's done.
all right.
I'll never get back to her.
Oh, dear God. Moss, what's going on?
What's going on?
Oh, not so very much. What's your funny story today? You got a funny story? You didn't get a puppy. Nobody got
I didn't get a puppy.
I got a
No.
puppy. Yeah.
We can talk more about Jamie's puppy.
I don't know if I have a funny story.
You know what happened with our dog?
I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not funny.
Oh, no, that's not funny.
Not funny at all.
Like terrible story.
Torn MCL or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
No, that's not so funny at all. That's
Pretty
horrible.
sad.
Yeah.
Pretty sad.
Ray, what's up?
I don't know. We had stories about dogs. I don't know how I can really top that right now.
You want to talk about your dogs?
What did they do this week? No, they didn't mess up. They didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Pooped.
No,
Ate,
Good
pooped, slept.
puppies.
that's it. Basic life. You know,
Normal
good
dog
to be
life.
back. Was out last week.
Yeah, man. What'd you do?
Yeah, we missed you.
I'm just it's a lot of work, man.
Yeah.
Got a lot of things going on. But it's back to normal-ish.
All right.
So,
we missed the house money last week.
Yeah.
We're going to get back on it
I
tonight.
didn't even get to make any bets. It was a tough week.
You didn't bet at all week?
No, the
Wow.
whole week. And I
What?
would have. And of course, it's always the weeks where you don't bet, where everything you pick
Of course.
Would have been
hit,
right.
so-
They
Yeah.
all hit.
Of course.
it's tough. But
Well, I'll tell you what, man. We got to get right down into this because I'm going to tell
Yes,
you what,
we
it is
do.
going to be a full show today.
Yeah.
And for some weird reason, I have a feeling we're going to ruffle some feathers with
I'm sure we will.
tonight's conversation.
Probably.
Right from the get-go to the very end, bound to be one of those that everybody chimes in and goes, what are you thinking? Right?
I'm sure of it.
It happens.
And the first one we're going to talk about is the Cleveland Browns. This is a conversation we've been like meaning to have for a long time. I did invite Dave Bandich to see if he could come in. I don't know. I didn't hear back from him apparently. Like probably his schedule's a piping hot mess. I don't know what's going on, but
He's probably working.
yeah, hopefully he chimes in on here. What is it? I'm getting to be like a 78-year-old grandmother. I got like tissues and cough drops everywhere.
Nice.
Unbelievable.
Nice.
If you have a Werther's, we have to have a conversation.
All I need is one of those like Vicks vapor rub things you put in your nose.
And a bowl of ribbon candy.
Oh my gosh.
Seriously, I'm like, where did all these napkins come from? But listen, so we got to talk about this. So Thursday night, the Cleveland Browns first they're finally stringing back-to-back wins together. First beating the Buffalo Bills in week 10, 19-16, and now they defeated the Steelers in a very, very, very ugly game, and that was 21-7. And now I know everybody is right away going to want to voice their opinions on that ridiculously ugly fight between Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph. I promise we'll try to get to that in just a little bit. But for right now, let's talk about this game, this 2-game win streak. And, we've been highly critical of the Browns this year.
Yes, we have.
Or I should say so far this season. From Baker Mayfield, from his quarterback play to a defensive core that I think has been probably mediocre at best so far. And but you know what? I mean, we got to put this into a little bit of perspective because, I mean, the Bills, they're certainly not a slouch of a team. Mm-hmm. And, when you're talking about the Steelers up until this game were considered one of the hotter teams that were out there for about 3 weeks, I will say. And so these are two big wins by this team. Let me ask you guys first, do you think we've finally seen this team right the ship to some degree? And I guess at the same time, what are they doing differently all of a sudden that's leading to this success?
Go ahead.
Well, I will start off by publicly apologizing for saying anything completely negative about Baker Mayfield, because I feel like he's showing a lot of growth over the last few weeks. I have to give him that because I had my nicknames for him that I won't mention here on the show. But
well, you can say one of them. It was Faker Mayfield.
Faker Mayfield was what I was calling him. So I have to take that back, and I have to say, he is showing a lot of progress. He's no longer forcing the ball into those tough windows that we see. He's making better decisions. And it's really started after the bye week. After the bye week, they came back. They played the Patriots pretty well. Mm-hmm. But the last couple weeks has been a lot because of Kareem Hunt. Getting Kareem Hunt into the game and being able to, use that play action, it creates a lot of open things for him, and he's able to get the ball more down the field, which is nice to see. So I'll give him credit. I'm going to give credit where credit is due, and I do think he's playing better, which in the end is making their offense better. So.
Yeah. Hell is officially frozen over. Okay?
That's what I figured. I listened to every word of that and come out of Erica Moss.
Erica giving credit to the Browns.
The Browns. Next up, the Ravens.
Make a snowball out there because hell just froze over.
Yeah. To go with what you're saying, though, man, I don't know about right the ship as far as it goes, because you want to see a more consistent 60 minutes than they've played both against Buffalo and Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. Buffalo, their big thing, still maintain that horrific red zone offense, and they were. I've never seen this in watching football. There was 11 plays on goal to go, and they were stuffed on all 11 of them. Excuse me, until the very last one against Buffalo. Even against the Steelers, they came out of the gates a little hotter, and then really slowed down and weren't putting points up on the board. The way I can say it is that talent in general just will eventually start to take its shape. And what I think a lot of us have forgotten with Cleveland this year, a lot of that team is brand spanking new. Outside of, we'll say, Mayfield and Nick Chubb, majority of that, Odell Beckham, of course, and now Kareem Hunt being thrown in the mix. It takes some time to really mold that together. Additionally, their offensive line is kind of patchwork, and that takes time to actually get a cohesive unit going. So I wouldn't say right the ship, but what is starting to happen is they're starting to develop enough chemistry to where they're actually playing together as a more cohesive unit.
Yeah.
Good point.
And the beauty, Moss has already kind of struck on this, was the best thing I've seen Cleveland do in the 2 weeks Kareem Hunt has been out is put both Hunt and Chubb in the backfield at the same time. That is colossally confusing to anybody because whoever gets it is an equally dynamic running back that can do a lot of damage right off the bat, and it frees up all other aspects of the offense. So there's things that there's positives. Building blocks, if you will. I don't say right the ship yet because it hasn't been complete, but they are definitely in the right direction, at least offensively. We'll talk a little bit more about my thoughts on the other side of the ball going and another portion though.
You know, and I'll say one thing. One of the comments that I heard someone say, you know, because we were kind of questioning, like, where does Kareem Hunt fit into this now that he's coming back? And the comment
You almost forgot that he was coming back. I did.
Well, everybody was saying, I mean, there's still only one ball. I mean, now
who gets it?
it's one more mouth to feed.
Yep.
How is he going to fit in? And I got to say, quite well, actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's working out.
He's actually been beautiful as like almost a fullback role where he's been brought out as a lead backer for Chubb. A lot of those, he's been very impressive without the ball in his hands.
Yeah.
if anything, as well as with it in his hands.
Yeah. Ray, did you catch any of the action from Thursday night?
I did. But I only caught like the end. So like
Good
the
time,
parts
the
that
good
I
part.
saw, like we don't want to talk about right away.
Yeah, I know.
But what I will say is I agree with Jamie. I don't think this is really a righting of the ship. I mean, the team still only has 4 wins and they have 6 losses. So, you know, I expected. I think I said 10-6 was my preseason. Right, I think it said 10-6.
Yeah, which you
for
were
them.
guessing for the record.
So I mean, they still can get there. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I guess the positives, you know, they're winning at home now. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to find a way to not completely poop on them, but
Poop on the ground?
yeah, it's because I mean, I just don't see it. I think that this was in my opinion, based on what I have seen of them, I think this is a lost year. I think they're not going to make the playoffs.
Wow.
I think that, you know, they've got some things to look forward to.
Well, let me go with that because this was going to lead right into my next question here, and I was going to say, so I'm looking when I look at the rest of the schedule here, they've got the Dolphins in Week 12. They've got this depleted Steelers team one more time right after that. Weeks 14 and 15, they've got the Bengals, and then they've got the Cardinals. They get a little bit of a challenge there again in Week 16. They play the Ravens. But then right after that, they close out the season with another game against the Bengals. So, I mean, it's completely possible that this team in those games goes, at least I would think, maybe 5-1, at least in the last 6 weeks. And if that's the case, they'll end up 9-7 with a 9-7 record, which in this conference, that could possibly be good enough for maybe a wild card. And I mean, maybe they compete for the division. Probably not. I'm going to say that the Ravens aren't going to fall apart like that in the last 6 weeks. But still, I mean, you know, anything can happen. They could definitely compete for that wild card.
Well, honestly, I think they could. They could, in theory. But you remember, when I initially said 10-6, I initially thought they'd lose to the Rams. Mm-hmm. I thought they were going to lose to Baltimore twice. I thought they were going to lose to New England, which they did. I thought they would lose to Pitt both times, but now, who knows?
Yeah.
But honestly, now, like you said, very winnable games.
Yeah.
These next 6, they could go 5-1. I could also see them going 3-3 and not be shocked because Miami, although they really have no reason to win games, they tend to just stay in the games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and with
they
a
do.
team like Cleveland, they could very well beat them. Arizona, they have every reason to try to win. They're not going to even. This isn't even for playoffs, really. It's just to get Kyler Murray out there and get as much experience as possible through his rookie year. So, I am not sold on the Browns making the playoffs anymore. I initially said 10-6. Now, based on the 4-10 record through 12 weeks, I'm going with a revised 8-8 at best.
Wow. Okay. All right.
So, we'll see. We'll see. I think 8-8.
You hear that collective growl out there from
Yeah, I know.
I
but
know.
Brown
Sorry.
Nation growling at
all
you
right,
right now.
I'm basically penciling in a guaranteed loss versus Baltimore.
Yeah.
Pretty much guaranteed that's a loss.
Okay.
And I don't think they beat Pittsburgh the next time. I think Pittsburgh's going to win that game because I'm sure that Pittsburgh's not going to want to. I mean, it's bad enough to lose to the Browns, and that was from what I saw, was an ugly game in an ugly way. But they're not going to lose that one. I think Pittsburgh's got that one. So then it's really just a coin flip. They're going to beat Cincinnati twice because Cincinnati does not want to win
No,
because they want
they
that
don't.
number 1 overall pick, which they're now the favorite for. And Arizona, I think Arizona beats them.
All right. Well, I might have been high and mighty on Baker Mayfield, giving him credit, but there's no way in how they make the playoffs.
Wow.
There's absolutely no way in how they make the playoffs. I mean, we know the Ravens, without a doubt, will win that division, as hard as that is for me to say. And then you're obviously going to get 2 teams out of the East. And then I think you're either going to get 2 teams out of the West or 2 teams out of the South. As painful as it is for me to say, and I'm still going to say that the Pittsburgh still has a chance, because I will always say that till the time is gone, and that is because that's just the way I am with my teams. I'm going to say they have a chance till the very, very end. But realistically, I think you're probably going to see. I think you're going to see the Raiders be that second wild card team.
The Raiders?
Yep.
Really?
So I don't think the Browns have a chance. And if I'm looking at the schedule, I think they go 6-4. I'm sorry, 6-6. 6 and what would that be?
10?
6 and 10.
She's
There's
not
my-
an accountant like right over there.
Yeah, seriously.
6 and 10.
She got her shoes off, but
I give them 2 more wins. But you know what? At the end of the day, it's better than they've done in years. So you got to get that's a good season.
That's true. I mean, people forget that a year ago, wasn't it last year that they had the coolers of beer that they were going to open up if this team got one win?
One win.
Oh, that was 2 years ago, yeah. Yeah, 2 years ago.
So 2 years, yeah. So it's a blessing, really, that they're even on the charts. But
Right now, they're doing better than they have in years. So
To a point, but there's a big letdown when you think of it in Ohio, because this is not a team that we were talking about. Say 6-10 is all right, or 8-8 from what
True.
Ray's talking
Very
about. They were like 4th best odds to win the damn Super Bowl in preseason.
That is true.
They came out. You want to talk about guns blazing? They really did come out firing. As far as just that paper champion, as we all saw, it really. And it's a number of things never came together right out of the gate. And again, numerous reasons. The bad play is only part of it. The coaching staff has been absolutely atrocious. They've been terrible. Decision-making, play calling, you name it. It's been really ugly. So there's a lot of work to do for 6 games if you want to even talk 9-7. Because I'm with Ray. That Ravens game is not a shot. I don't see the way that the Ravens are playing on both sides of the ball, even on a low day for Baltimore. I still don't think that they can that Cleveland can take them. I just don't. So through the other 5 games, sure, they're all over the place. But the big wild cards that I see in that one are going to be the Pittsburgh game and Arizona. Arizona plays everybody tough, every single team tough, and they'll squeak out a win here and there. If Cleveland can't right mistakes, Arizona won't hand them a game. They'll keep it close enough and maybe steal one. Pittsburgh's going to come in angry. That's not a fun one to pick either. So. And Ray's already alluded to the Dolphins, who for some reason decided about 4 weeks ago to start playing a little bit better.
yeah, they're still playing, which is weird.
They're still playing. They got punched in the mouth a little this past weekend against Buffalo, but at the same point, up until that, they had been playing great. And even then, Ryan Fitzpatrick this past weekend still threw the ball well. They just couldn't run the ball. So if there's anything that they can do is to keep that game close, Miami's not a pushover. So what are you talking? Your only 2 wins going to be against the Bengals? Nobody cares at that point. That's a team that's not trying to win.
So are you giving them 2 wins too?
No, I think they're going to get 3. I'm thinking 7-9. Best case scenario, I'm thinking 8-8 though as well. I do see them stubbing their toe in one of the other games that they are, we'll say, should win to get to that 5-1 that we're all kind of assuming. I think they're going to stub their toe somewhere along the line, and it's going to be absolute anarchy, unfortunately. And I'm with Ray. I was wrong. I said they were the other wild card. I don't see it anymore. AFC may not be great, but it's very locked up in that for that 6th spot. Very, very tight.
See, I'm gonna actually go the other way with this.
Okay.
And
Wow.
I know. Listen, somewhere Fred Cousineau is absolutely laughing at this because I was
You
on
lost
that
your
side of the
bat.
table just like a couple weeks ago, sitting at work telling him all the reasons why Cleveland had absolutely like a snowball's chance in hell. Now I'm going to tell you what we've said from day one that the Cleveland Browns. We're going to work one of 2 ways. It was going to be all those big personalities come in there, and if it didn't start out good, it was going to be a massive explosion where everybody was like, this is crazy. Or if they got a little bit of steam going behind them, then maybe they can carry that into bigger, better things. And I think they're turning that corner. Me personally, I don't know if they're going to win if they're going to make the playoffs, but I could see 4 wins out of this. I wouldn't have said the Steelers. It kills me to say that, but
know.
that is just a depleted team.
I
They
know,
have
but I
nobody
still have
left.
to always say that until the end. Listen, they would have turned a corner had all that nonsense not happened.
And listen, we
We got to get there. This is a big reason why I say they can't get there.
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and
Go right there. We
gotta
can't
get there.
We can't get away from it.
We'll talk about the big nasty, which is the ugly brawl that broke out between Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph. I mean, as much as this sucks to say, that is literally going to be the only thing that people take away from that entire game. Nobody's going to look at that and be like, "That was a great offensive performance," because the game sucked. Otherwise than that, it was horrible. Nobody was doing anything. But then that fight broke out and crazy. Now, before we go into this, I got to remind everybody. I'll remind you guys too. Like ESPN and the NFL Network and all these other places, they've talked at ends about this. I mean, they've probably covered this story more than they have anything else in the last month. So, I mean, I don't want to sit here and regurgitate everything that we've already heard. Everybody knows these guys got suspended. Everybody knows there's some fines that came down. There's no sense in going through all that again. I mean, we touched on it a little bit, but the biggest thing I think I really want to look at is how that Myles Garrett suspension is going to affect the Browns, because that is going to be huge.
Huge is an understatement on this one. Before the suspension, Myles Garrett was an absolute freak as far as the pass rusher this season, among the tops in the NFL in sacks all season. And even when he wasn't getting to the quarterback, you had to watch. You had to keep an eye on him. He was just a dynamic playmaker that you had to game plan for the entire week leading up to the game. Now you don't have to worry about him. He's obviously gone for the entire season. That actually makes Cleveland defensively one-dimensional a little bit more. Additionally, I don't know how severe the other injury going on the defensive side of the ball. I don't know how severe the one to Burnett.
He's out. Right?
He's on IR.
He got put on IR. See, that part I didn't know. I saw the game and I saw him like that doesn't look good. That now you just lost another piece of a cornerstone, if you will, of your defense.
Yeah, I think he was placed on IR today.
So there you go. And yeah, I was buying puppies. I'm sorry.
You keep buying those puppies.
I'm just going to keep swiping up puppies.
Hell with Myles Garrett.
Yeah, so, but you basically have 2 cornerstones of your defense on opposite ends. Well, obviously the front 7 and then the back 4 there, gone. They're done for the season. So now you're about to depend on rookies. Olivier Vernon on the other side is not dynamic enough to run to dominate a pass rush by himself.
Right.
He needed a guy like Garrett to step up. So unless you see somebody come out of nowhere, maybe a little bit of a depth guy or something, a rotational piece, and really step up, but you cannot replicate that type of presence that he has. And that is, again, that's kind of what I was leading to with the playoff prediction, is that defensively they're about to take such a step back that all these steps forward that they've taken against both Buffalo and Pittsburgh, I think are going to level out a little bit. So now you're about to lean on Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb a little bit more than you have in the past few weeks. That could be dangerous, because one simple mistake could end the game.
Yeah.
They're not as dynamic as the Chiefs offense.
Yeah, Jamie hit it right on the nail. I mean, that loss of Myles Garrett is huge to that team, and I don't think anybody can replace them. And the problem is they're going to have to put so much pressure on their secondary that these teams are going to have all day to throw. So you have no pass rush, and they're just going to be able to eat you apart in the passing game. That's going to be an issue for you. There's nobody that's going to be able to replace him, and like Jamie said, that's putting more pressure on your offense. And I don't know if Baker Mayfield and the rest of that offense is going to be able to live up to that with that much pressure on them.
Collective groans from the Browns.
Myles Garrett was their focal point on that defense. Everybody knew it. I mean, what he's done, even when he doesn't even actually get to the quarterback, just disrupts them, the timing. He just throws the timing off, makes them throw the ball earlier than they wanted to. And without him being there and getting that pressure on the quarterback, this defense has already suffered most of the time with him there. So without him, it's not going to get better. This is not an addition by subtraction situation. This is going to be subtraction with more subtraction equals negative. It's going to be awful for them. So unfortunate.
Can I talk about something that's probably even more of an issue than, Myles Garrett getting suspended and out for the year? The whole team in general has some serious discipline problems, and they've literally have turned into the new Bengals. They've turned into the new Cincinnati Bengals, and they need to get something under control. And all the blame is going to be put on Freddie Kitchens, but it's coming from up above him too. They're drafting players, they're taking players that have problems, and there's no discipline. They are leading the league in ejections and penalties this year, and that's a problem, and that needs to be addressed before anything else can be done.
Well, I think also you've got Freddie Kitchens, who's not really.
He's not going to do it.
There's some big personalities in that locker room. And
That's not the guy to lead it.
No, it's not. But I should ask you, just for the sake of going down that path real quick.
Oh, boy.
Do you guys think they got the suspension right?
Nope.
No.
I think he shouldn't play in the NFL.
He's.
think he should be kicked out of the NFL.
Lifetime, I doubt. A lifetime, I doubt. But currently he's indefinite, so they're not wrong right off the bat because we don't know when he's coming back. I could foresee a full calendar year, to be honest. So I know it's 6 weeks, and they mentioned playoffs, but 6 weeks for the remainder of this season. But I could really see going right back into Week 12 of next year, a full calendar year. I'm thinking. I wouldn't be
I don't
surprised.
think it'll go that hard. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, he used the helmet as a weapon, which is obviously
It's assault.
it's a no go. But this season will be it. He'll be there week 1. He'll play. Like there's no way. It's just not. If there was like maybe some kind of injury to Mason Rudolph, then I could see them probably escalating. But because he was fine and he wasn't necessarily innocent in this fight.
No.
I mean, I'm not. It's not warranting to be hit with a helmet. I'm not saying that, but he wasn't. They both were guilty. He was just.
So
more,
am I gonna? Should I go there or am I not gonna go there? Should I go off on a limb here and say if I got into some sort of fight on the street and I took a gun, I shot somebody, but I missed, but I didn't hit them and they didn't get injured. Therefore, I am making a bad judgment call that I shouldn't go through any kind of punishment.
well, no, but also if you're going to compare it like that, who started the fight?
Well, that can be used in a couple of different ways.
If you so like they can go.
It doesn't
they can go
matter.
on a completely different.
It's the person that
Well, that's
used the
not-
weapon. So
Yeah, but that's the thing because weapons don't necessarily. You can use a weapon if it's justified, right? So there's not just because you use a weapon you're wrong. There has to be
you can use a weapon if your life is in danger.
okay. But what he did was he threw the helmet
Where's the
that was
legal?
on his
Can we
head.
get some legal here?
So
We need
like,
some legal help.
I mean, because in this situation, like, because I've seen the play like 100 times.
Oh
now.
yeah, me too.
So I mean,
I think everybody did.
he had hold of the face mask. You have to also remember there's another player pushing him away where they're obviously saying something verbally to each other. And in the scuffle, the helmet came off. He still had it in his possession. So his first reaction, it was in his hand. He threw it and he hit the guy with it. I'm not saying it's right, but what I am saying is they're not going to suspend him for next year because of this. I mean, it was already an unprecedented suspension with it being indefinite for technically it's 6 games for this year.
Yeah.
So that'll be enough. And
The thing is, it wasn't his first offense. He's already been fined twice this year.
yeah, but not
This
for assault
year.
with a helmet. This was
No,
a
but
first time
that's
play.
obviously there's an issue going on. So it's not just a
and
one-time
more
thing.
so, while his apology, like afterwards, did not seem completely sincere.
No.
I don't think it's going to be like if this was what's his name from the Bengals, Vontaze Burfict. Obviously,
boy.
I think he would be done forever. But no, I don't think Myles Garrett, even though this is not his first suspension, they're not going to suspend him. I don't think for next year. I think he'll be fine for next season. This season's over with, and lesson learned.
I think his big saving grace and all that is when he was coming over the top with that helmet.
Sure.
That it twisted.
No doubt.
And he ended up hitting Mason Rudolph. Like the
Padding. Yeah.
Padding part. Yeah.
Because if that had come down on the crown or on his head with
Absolutely.
the crown, woo.
And that's what you have to factor in. I mean, it was a dirty play. There's no arguing that. But
Can we
at the
agree
end
if
of the
that had been
day,
Tom Brady that they would have handcuffed him right there?
I don't think they would. I don't.
And the
You know
police are
that's
storming the field.
I mean, if they were going to go for that, then if it was going to go outside of him being suspended, it would have already happened. I don't see.
No, here they're not going to
You
do
know.
anything. They already said they're not going to do anything
Yeah.
with
So
charges.
because they're not bringing
Because
up any
he's not-
criminal charges or anything, I would imagine that this season suspension is enough, and he'll come back next year. Obviously, he's clearly now going to be in that Vontaze Burfict like eye of the ref. So anything he does going forward, no matter how dirty or intentional or whatever, will definitely be super looked at through a microscope. Just like Ndamukong Suh, which has calmed down since his years of dirty plays, stepping on people.
I'm glad he's calmed down.
He's definitely calmed down, though, right? So we don't hear him anymore. So, so I don't know. I think Myles Garrett realizes that was a dumb play. He lost his cool, and I think he'll move on from it.
Real quick, because we were already over. What about Pouncey? You think he was?
That was also, and I didn't want to even keep going.
No, we got to go there.
But what he did was that was bad too. I mean, he was kicking and punching.
He did some awful things too. Yeah.
Listen, he's protecting his. I have more respect for him now than I did before. He's my favorite player in all these.
So,
but technically,
that's assault too, because you're kicking a guy that's down.
Use a weapon.
Exactly.
You're kicking a guy in the head.
100%.
Here's the thing. So we don't go on this crazy tangent that I didn't want to hit that we've already hit.
Yeah.
The correct response to all of this is where nobody's friggin' happy, because that's the only the best decision is where nobody's gonna like it.
100%.
That's the way. So whether it's the rest of the season, which he's already got, the rest of his life, even maybe into purgatory, I have no idea how long it's gonna last. He's suspended. It was massively violent, and we're going down the rabbit hole, unfortunately, which I don't like, especially since this play has done one thing that drove me crazy that I talked to you about the other day.
What's that?
One play got overshadowed earlier in the game that was also viciously violent when Juju Smith got cleaned out by a concussion. Now that was play of the game. That was just the flow of the game. Helmet to helmet, sure, it's a penalty, it's illegal, and all that other happy noise. But what everybody missed was Greedy Williams coming over to Coach Tomlin with his hat in his hands and shaking his hand and apologizing for that hit.
Yes.
Which is a very classy move in a division rival, but that gets overshadowed, that beautiful play, that beautiful move, I guess you could say, because of this ugliness that we're talking about. So
it was a nice gesture.
Exactly. Yeah.
At the end of the day, the Cleveland win is overshadowed by the.
That's true. You're absolutely right. It totally is.
And it's just it's such a bad thing, because like a Thursday night game when the nation's tuning in to see what they think is going to be a great rivalry game, that's what you take away. Don't think for a minute that the NFL was cringing at the fact that that's what everybody saw.
And the bad thing is that next week they're going right into Pittsburgh.
I'm sure Goodell was like, this is not us. Yeah. This is not what we do.
Guys, our ratings are up. We got the Browns and Steelers. Crap.
Slice them right out of there.
Turn the channel.
Anyways, let's do
get away from this.
Yeah, Moss, you got a
I do.
question?
Hold on. I do.
You probably totally forgot about it.
No, I do have a question.
You do? All right.
If I can calm myself down enough.
Look at her. She's shaking. She's wild. Here, let's do your music.
All right, well, here we go with this week's Moss's Mindbender Trivia Question of the Week. This Thursday night, we have a battle between the Indianapolis Colts and the Houston Texans. So my question is, who holds the single-season record for the Houston Texans for the most receiving yards in one season? Again, who holds the single-season record for the Houston Texans for the most receiving yards in one season? We're going to find out that answer right after the break. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back. And welcome back to the second down of 3 and Out, brought to you by Disruption Network and MyGarageBar.com. So before the break, I hit you with my Moss's Mindbender. That question was, who holds the single-season record for the Houston Texans for the most receiving yards in one season? The answer is Andre Johnson, with a total of 1,598 yards during the 2012 season. Johnson also holds the all-time receiving record for the Texans with a total of 1,012 catches and 13,597 yards during his career. There you have it, folks. This week's Moss's Mindbender.
I think everybody got that.
We did. I guess that one was pretty easy.
Boy,
it was easy.
Your best better get a whole lot better.
Oh, stop. I figured I'd give you an easy one for...
Ouch.
Yeah. No. Actually, so Ray got it, right?
Yep, Ray Party got it.
Party.
And Mike Zigarelli got it,
Very
too.
good.
Wow.
Who was first? Was it Ray or was it Mike?
I don't know.
It's a tie. I don't know.
All right. Don't they come up in order?
No,
No.
it's on 2 different pages.
Oh, that's right.
Here's the problem when
So
we.
we'll give both of them a point.
Yeah, realistically, I think we don't give anything away anyway, so it's more like an attaboy.
You never know.
You guys get, you
Dude,
get an attaboy.
Don't tell them.
Oh, that's right. You guys are competing for the big prize.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which will be maybe next season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So, and I was going to say, that's the big problem that like a lot of people have asked us, like, how come you don't respond? We have like 4 or 5 different
Feeds going on all at once.
like,
Yeah.
we have the Garage Bar one.
Yeah,
going.
yeah.
We have Disruption Network one. We got there's like 4 or 5 of them, and so like I literally have to be on the My Garage Bar page, and Erica right now is on Disruption Network, and there's
So we have like Facebook Live going. We have a few of them.
Yeah,
They're all
over the
different.
There's
Yeah.
all kinds of crazy stuff, but the people's comments they're coming in from all over the place. So, and if I'm fixed on one, I miss everybody.
Wow.
See how that works?
Yeah.
Crazy. Craziness. So, when I said we were going to ruffle some feathers that last segment, I didn't think we were going to ruffle our own.
Yeah, I mean that was.
It's all right. It's just
I was kind of waiting for it because I've seen Moss when I've met her once or twice.
I know her.
And I've seen her when things go in a certain direction. She gets feisty.
She's passionate. She got shook.
Yeah.
I can't help it. I get feisty.
Well, the good thing is now we can kind of bring it back down a little bit with something that like 2 people care about, which is the Houston Texans.
Aw, that's not very nice.
There's 3. I do have a friend that's a Houston Texans fan, like legit too, which is crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I got to tell you, man, I like the Houston Texans as a team, but it's very hard because we don't really see as much as we should of them. At least I feel like
that's true.
I feel like I need to watch a whole lot more of Texans games.
Yeah, and honestly, my friend became a Texans fan when they came in the league.
Yeah.
And the only reason why is because it was something totally new.
Great.
And he's
Start
been
from the beginning.
started from the beginning. He's never wavered.
That's
By the
cool.
way, so he's still to this day a Houston Texan fan.
Unflappable, like
Yeah.
Flacco. So I think we all knew that this game against the Baltimore Ravens was going to be a tough one for the Texans, but I don't think anybody was quite expecting this this blowout here, this 41-7 walloping that they got. Deshaun Watson statistically having the worst day of his career, going 18 of 29. For 169 yards and no touchdowns. 1 interception, 1 lost fumble, and 6 sacks is really what put the nail in the coffin on this day. I mean, there's a ton to talk about with this, especially with what I'm about to ask, and that is what went wrong for Watson and this whole entire Texans team, really. You guys are all like,
exactly.
I mean, I can go. What? A better question would be what went right.
Yeah.
Because
there's not time enough. in the day.
every aspect of that offense looked terrible. The offensive line could not block anything, and Deshaun Watson, he almost didn't look like he wanted to. I don't know. He looked kind of checked out. I don't know. He didn't have that same fire that I'm used to seeing from him. And it showed for sure. I mean, we all probably expected Baltimore to win the game. There's only people in Houston probably expected Houston to even compete, but this was bad, and it makes me concerned because the Colts might take their playoff spot.
Well, that's the funny thing about this game. Like you said, I don't think anybody really expected the Ravens to lose this game, but for a team like the Texans that's in contention right now for that division, I certainly expected just a little bit more from them. I expected to see somebody playing with a lot more passion, and maybe not so much.
I just think that no matter what they did, nothing would go right for them. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't pass the ball. The offensive line was just doing nothing to help Watson. But when they did kind of get like a little bit where you thought, oh, things were going better, they had what was a pass interference that didn't get called, and that would have led to a touchdown for them. And as soon as that happened and they didn't get that call, it was like they just gave up, and nothing else happened for them for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And actually they were kind of keeping Lamar Jackson in check for like probably the first quarter, and then as soon as Baltimore scored their first touchdown, see ya, that game was over. It was just touchdown after touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. Obviously, 41 points, and Houston just was never. They weren't ever in it. They weren't there. It's like they just didn't show up. And I think a lot of that credit has to go to Baltimore because I don't think people realize how good of a team they are. And I honestly think that this might be what Houston needed moving forward, and maybe it'll kind of give them, that burst of like let's move on and it's like the kick under your ass. That
I was going to say that, I think they call that a kick in the ass.
A kick in the ass that they needed to move forward for the rest of the year. So.
Am I wrong? Did we get our a Gus Edwards sighting in this game?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it came about sooner or later. But I mean, what else are you going to throw at him at that point?
Yeah, well,
So, going with what you're saying, man, the negatives of what happened are just they're too numerous to count. And the only saving grace is, at least for the early parts of the game, they seemed to be trading punches a little bit with Baltimore. And then it just got out of hand. I mean, it was so many aspects of the game that were just wrong, and you can start from the top on down. There's too many to hit, unfortunately. We'd be here all night if we nailed it.
Well, let me try it this way. Obviously, so many negative aspects.
Yeah.
I hate to even ask, but is there anything positive for the Texans that we can take away from this?
Yes, that game's over.
That it's over.
That the game is over. They forget about it. They've moved forward, and they get ready to play this week.
Yeah,
that's what they have to forget about the game, because if they dwell on anything that happened, it's just going to affect them moving forward.
Yeah, in all seriousness, even with that, I mean, that's really that's a positive that it's over, because you don't have to reflect and wonder what went wrong by watching film and trying to do this. You lost so many aspects of this game. You just pretty much throw out the tape and wipe the slate clean and try and start over. Mm-hmm. It makes kind of readjusting a little easier, because you basically just get rid of everything that you just tried. And so it is kind of cleaning the slate a little bit, which is nice. That is one thing. The other positive, and a serious one, it seemed that DeAndre Hopkins, despite the beatdown, at least early in the game, was playing very well. Mm-hmm. It's just when the score got out of hand, you can't depend on a wide receiver without the quarterback at that point. But that really is it. It's over. And they're still no worse for the wear. They're still tied for their division at 6-4. So that's something that you could take positively, is that you got your ass handed to, and you're still
standing, man.
You're still up. I mean, you're leaning on the ropes coming into this week, but at the same point, it doesn't mean you hit the canvas. So at least there's that.
Well, Deshaun Watson statistically has done a great job coming back from poor performances and bouncing back in the next game and moving forward. So I think that's on a positive spin for them, and hopefully they can jump back, get back up and keep playing.
Do something. Ray, any positives?
Well, I wouldn't call it a positive, but at least not for them. But there's a trend. I see that they lose and then they win two, and then they lose and then they win two, and then they lose and they win two. So with this loss, they're going to beat the Colts and New England, and then they're going to lose to Denver. So that's a positive.
That's a positive. There you go.
And then they're gonna lose to Denver, and then they're gonna beat Tennessee and Tampa Bay, and then lose to Tennessee.
Nice.
So look at that.
Look at that. You already
their
got the whole
record is
schedule.
already sealed, 10-6.
There you go.
Loaded.
Hey, so Ray Party is saying that the blame is on Bill O'Brien. He cannot coach consistently, and his team is always a roller coaster.
How about them Spurs?
Oh,
And
man.
that
we want basketball.
Watson is a top 3 quarterback. Hopkins is a stud, and they need to draft well.
Watkins, I will say, under normal circumstances, I do think is a future, at least, if not current, elite quarterback. He's among the best, at least going forward, for the younger generation. But that performance is a hard one. I know Ray, and I know what he's getting at, but that's a hard one to say that to, and I'm sure he's sticking to his guns on this. But at least for what we're used to seeing, this is as bad as it gets. We haven't seen that,
because he said top 3, and I counted Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and Lamar Jackson. Where is he getting?
He's saying
I think he means going forward.
yardage.
Yeah. I think he means going forward.
Because I was going to say, and I didn't even mention Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers, so I don't see 3. Maybe top 10.
6.
Top 10.
You know what I like about
This is way
this
too
Houston
many.
team, though? They just keep quiet. They win game. Well, they win 2, then they lose 1, and then they win 2,
And then they lose one.
That's it.
But there's no drama. You never hear any crazy stuff about them. They just do what they need to do. down there and get the job done.
Well,
yeah, if there's anything, it's injuries that are their death.
Yeah,
that is
unfortunately.
true. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, coming in this week, they have the rematch against the Colts. They're both sharing that 6-4 record right now, but the Colts are leading in the standings because of the at that last meeting. I guess they won that one head to head. So, so Thursday night we get the rematch, and I'm almost ready to call this. Do I want to call this a must-win game?
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Probably.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
What do we need to look for in this game, and how should the Texans kind of prep themselves and get ready for this game?
You got to come at them hard and quick. It's that simple. You got to put Indianapolis back on their heels to the point where you almost force them to pass. Not to say that Brissett can't do it, but you want them to be in the middle of a whirlwind before they even realize the game started. And that's kind of what they have to do. I'm only saying it with this team because this is too damn important. You lose this game, not only do you pretty much hand the division to the Colts, you gave them a game in the standing numbers, but then you've lost both. So even a tie does you no favors.
Right.
Additionally, not only is it a division loss, it's a conference loss. You're fighting for, we'll say, just for argument's sake, the sixth seed, the second wild card right now, where there's 4 teams currently at 6-4. So that is not a good spot to be in. That's a dangerous, dangerous area. Any game, one way or another, is going to either make or break the rest of your season. This game is enormous. The rest of their schedule, not that pretty either. Because they're following it up with New England next week.
Yeah.
So you don't want to have to bank on having to beat New England to get your wild card chances up.
No.
I think that lucky for Houston, Marlon Mack is out, so that will be good for them. But I am going to flat out say whoever wins this game wins the division.
Okay.
And I think whoever doesn't win the division doesn't make the playoffs.
There you go. Ray, you want to put the kibosh on this conversation?
Well, it's definitely a must-win. They have to win. I think they will. They're at home. They tend to play better at home than on the road. So I like their chances. Like Moss just said, Marlon Mack is out, and that's a huge blow to an already injury-ridden team. T.Y. Hilton, although he might play, he's not at full strength.
Sure.
He hasn't been at full strength in like 2 years, to be honest. But and now Marlon Mack being out, and obviously Andrew Luck is retired. So I like their chances to win this one. They need to win for sure.
Yeah.
But, there was something, though, I did want to bring up. There's this trend. I want to say it kind of started like with the NBA, but there's this trend where like after the games, some of the players like exchange jerseys.
Yeah, it's been
And
going
sign
on.
each other's jerseys.
Yeah, they sign the jerseys. Right? Like I like that trend, and I get it. In every game, obviously, right? There's a winner and a loser. But when you get your ass kicked,
I know, right?
I'm asking to get your jersey, but I'm not giving you mine because that's like I'm gonna put on the wall. Like, what does Lamar Jackson do with that Deshaun Watson jersey? Oh yeah, I whipped his ass like 41-7. Like, come on, man.
Listen,
Like,
I got to go back. So this is his top 3. Ready for it? Mahomes, Watson, and Lamar.
for future. Okay.
It's got to be future.
Okay,
Please clarify, Ray.
Yeah, because,
otherwise they can't defend you regardless.
No, he
of where
definitely
you're-
means future because he didn't mention Drew Brees, Tom
Yeah,
Brady, or Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers.
Rodgers,
So.
yeah.
I think he's saying of this like generation.
But yeah, like that next-
This crop, this
crop,
new
yeah.
crop, yeah.
You know, kind of going back to your jersey thing real quick. I have to kind of add to that when I see them like exchanging jerseys, and
Yeah.
sign it, there's some times when I see them, sign it and everything. And I think I'm not really sure that they've done enough to really take
warrant.
And that was my
person's
point.
jersey.
So in this game, Deshaun Watson, he had the worst game of his career, pretty much.
Yeah.
So
I was going to look at Lamar
how
Jackson.
dare you exchange a jersey
Remember that.
of all days? Like,
Well, I mean,
today.
even like
Yeah.
a career, you see some very young players
Yeah.
changing the jerseys.
And
You're
I'm like,
this guy
what?
just came in the league. He's only been in the league for like 8 games, 9 games now, and
like if it was like a close game, lost by a field goal or something, you guys, was back and forth, high scoring, and you guys, fine, go ahead, exchange, but. Just got your ass kicked. Like,
I don't wanna remember
What are you
that game.
exchanging that jersey for? I was so confused.
take it home and scrape the
Funny.
trash.
That's funny.
That's something you do off camera. Like you
Future.
don't pose for camera and take pictures with it.
Future,
Like,
okay.
And you have the nerve to smile. Like you just got your ass kicked. Man, what are you smiling about? Like
Future quarterbacks, just to clarify, future.
Yeah. The jersey that should have been given was would have been an old Jadeveon Clowney one because he's the only Houston player, even though he's in Seattle, that didn't do anything negative this past week. So at least there's that.
Let's Jamie, you have IR for us this week?
I may.
You may. You've been thinking about things.
I got some stuff. Yeah, I got
let's
some
run the
stuff.
music. We got to get the music. Do the music.
Hello, everybody. This is Jamie, and this is, once again, this week's IR. For this week, going a little bit off the beaten path, as instead of talking about an NFL player's injury, we're going to go to college football. And Tua Tagovailoa's dislocated hip. How at 21 years old does that happen? Well, let's get a little explanation. First off, you can watch that nasty hit he took that absolutely just destroyed everything in his leg on top of that. But let's give it a little bit of a future prognosis for what we're looking at Tua, especially that just hurt his draft stock, apparently, to where some pundits are saying late first round, if not further. Pump the brakes there, my friends. Because after the successful surgery with Tua, this is exactly what happened with him. Now, the hip joint itself is considered a ball and socket joint. The thigh bone, the femur, has a ball-shaped head on it that sits into what is called the acetabulum of your hip. It is the socket portion of it. Now, in the case of Tua, what had happened is not only did this head of the femur pop out, but it also fractured what's called the posterior wall of his hip. Basically, what that means, it's the back end of that acetabulum, that socket, that cracked. So the surgery could go a few ways. Most likely, it could be a plate and screws to hold that fracture back in place, just to make sure that nothing slips out in any way, shape, or form. Popping the femur back in place, which sounds and is as awful as everything that you might cringe and think it is for there. So the beauty is, again, successful surgery for Tua, so at least he's recovering well. But now let's give a little bit of a long-term type of idea. He's going to be set in what's called an immobilizer to where he's going to be able to progressively put some weight on it. So it's partial weight bearing is what it's called. Over the next 6 weeks, he can add and increase a little bit more weight as the weeks go by. After that is said and done, he's going to be able to start some physical therapy. It's going to be strengthening mostly the hip muscles that surround both the femur area and the hip itself in order to kind of overcompensate for the ligaments that might have become a little lax due to the dislocation. Once those muscles are a little bit stronger through all this, the therapy and rehab, he'll be able to return to regular activity sports, and they're thinking throwing, and I'm not kidding, by March.
What?
Exactly. So all of everybody who's thinking that Tua is pretty much done for his career, he's not even going to miss the combine if he wanted to show up for that, from the looks of it. So, of course, everybody's different. They heal at different rates. Again, he's a young kid who has something to look forward to here. And I know there was a lot of fear because this injury has happened in the past to a guy like Bo Jackson, to where he had to have complete total hip replacements. The reason it didn't happen for Tua is because in Bo Jackson's case, the blood vessels, the arteries that supply the hip, were also damaged, and therefore, where there's no blood, there's no healing, the bone died, and he had to have it replaced. In Tua's case, it's all fine. So he's actually looking to make a full, complete recovery. So before you write Tua off as the number 1 or number 2 pick, give him a few months, see how he recovers. So, Tua, can't believe I'm saying this, but roll tide, and we'll hope to see you. For that, this is Jamie, and that's this week's IR.
Roll Tide. He said. Oh, yeah. Guys, we're going to take a real quick break here. When we come back, this is the conversations that's going to ruffle the feathers. More so than even the Mason Rudolph and Myles Garrett one. So we'll be right back.
Who the hell are you? You know. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You all know exactly who I am.
Talking about house money, don't matter. Well, we gonna come to you, and we gonna bring it to you like this.
Say my name.
All right, so last week I was not here. It is up. Last week I was here, and you guys missed me. Sorry, I had to take care of. But with that being said, this isn't what it is. Is it? But
We'll just do it that way. I have no idea what it is.
so having a little difficulties with the mic. But listen, to get us back on track. There we go.
That was
I
weird.
heard that there. All right. So for this week's house money, I like Seattle. It's good value. They're actually an underdog playing at Philadelphia this week. So I like Seattle. Take Seattle plus 1.5. I'm going to be honest. I like a money line. If you're feeling real frisky, take a money line. But I definitely take the plus 1.5. Also on the road, we've got Green Bay versus San Fran. I just have this feeling that Green Bay is going to win this game. I really like them. And at 3.5, you can be conservative and take them plus 3.5, or you can get aggressive and take a money line. So take Green Bay versus San Fran. And last but not least, this week I am going to the Buffalo Broncos game this Sunday.
Yeah.
I will be there in attendance. So I normally do not make picks on games that the Broncos are in, but because I want to see a high scoring and eventful game, take the over 37. Denver does not score a lot of points. Buffalo generally doesn't score that many. But for some reason, I got a feeling they're both good. First 1 to 20 wins. So take the over 37. That's what I like.
There you go. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what happened with the mic. I think I screwed that all up.
Oh, you totally screwed that up.
No,
But-
you know what? There's like 2-3 mute buttons on here, and I unmuted the normal one, but you guys don't want to hear it.
Yes, that's okay.
There's something that made that entire house money all that more incredible, which I don't know if you remember from Sunday why this is incredible. I too will be in Buffalo for the Denver and Buffalo game. So I think we're going to have a 3-and-out tailgate session once
There
we
we
get into
go.
Buffalo.
There you go.
Going down.
Oh, snap.
Yeah,
Going down.
So
You should go live.
yeah, I think
gonna have
we'll
to.
have to have a few live videos. So Ray, right now, once we get into Buffalo, because I'm gonna be leaving around like 5:30 or 6 in the morning.
Okay.
Once we get in there, we'll have to meet up and
For sure.
and have some burgers. and
Yeah,
stuff, you know,
we're going to have to do this.
All right.
'cause, it's not very often that we both get to go to the same game.
Yeah.
We're going to make
true.
this happen.
Yeah,
That'd be
so it's gonna
fun.
happen.
I love that you guys are making like tailgate plans right in the middle of the show.
Yeah. He's my friend. Regardless of what we do here and who they're playing, he's still a friend of mine. Damn it, we're gonna have a burger and a beer together.
I'll be on the far side of the field. Stop over. We'll have a burger and a beer.
More or less, I just want to know where he's parked, so that way, if the Broncos win the game, I could slash his tires.
Oh, boy. You just admitted it right now here on live.
Witnesses, you guys are
Three and
all
out.
witnesses.
I thought you took the what is it called, the Hippocratic oath to help people, not harm them.
I'll help him after the fact. I mean, when he gets home, but not in Buffalo. That's a different animal right there.
Craziness.
Just
Crazy.
make sure I get out of there safe from Bill's Mafia. That's all I ask.
Oh no, I can do that. You just jump in my car. I'll give you a ride home.
The last time we saw that Bill's Mafia, like on YouTube or whatever, it was that guy going through the table,
Oh,
but
my
head
God.
first,
Yeah.
clean out cold.
Oh, he was done. Done.
And that was Bill's Mafia on the road. On the road. They weren't even in Buffalo. That was. Oh, man.
Was that the that might have
was
been
the-
the Tennessee
yeah,
game, right?
yeah, it was-
earlier this year.
Yeah.
That was they were in Tennessee, in Nashville.
Out of control.
Yeah.
Out of control.
Oh boy.
No table diving, guys. We need you. Like a couple days later. So, so the conversation. This is the big tail feather ruffler, whatever I'm trying to say there. I'm sure you guys probably heard about this one because it certainly got way more coverage than it probably deserved, and we're going to give it some more right here. Colin Kaepernick making headlines once again, and just like always, probably not for the right reasons. I know, never ends. So this is the deal. Over the weekend, and I've been following the story like crazy for some reason because I have to buy into it, guys. Over the weekend, the NFL scheduled an open workout for Colin Kaepernick, and I guess you would call it open in the sense that all 32 teams were invited to come out and watch. Obviously, the workout coming in response to Colin Kaepernick still claiming that despite that he hasn't played a game in 3 years, that he's still ready to start a quarterback for the NFL team that decides to give him a chance. So listen, I know there's a lot of people out there that still support Kaepernick, and having just turned 32 years old, I don't doubt that he still could have a lot of a career in front of him. Here's the problem. It's just that there's not a lot of teams out there right now that are willing to take the chance on this guy. I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second, but kind of getting into the story of what took place this weekend. Apparently, this turned into a bit of a media circus right from the get-go. At the last minute, Kaepernick's people changed the location of the workout. It was originally scheduled to take place at the Atlanta Falcons facility in Flowery Branch, and it was changed to Charles R. Drew High School in Riverdale, which, from what I've been told, is on the complete opposite side of town. And this took place after a disagreement about the liability waiver that the league asked Kaepernick to sign and get back to them. Basically, this waiver, as I've understood it, would ensure that since Kaepernick is not technically an employee of the NFL at this moment, that if anything was to happen on the field, if there was any injuries or whatnot, that he couldn't turn around and file for like workers' comp insurance or anything like that. That's how I've taken this. And I guess Kaepernick's reps got the waiver. They were, like I said, they're supposed to sign it and give it back. By the time they returned it, it was completely rewritten. And the league basically took one look at that and said no. Kaepernick, I guess he also asked for his own camera crew to be there to record the workout, and the league was not on board with that. They had different ideas about it. Either way, Kaepernick ended up at this high school for the workout, and as a result, several of the teams that said they were going to take part and be there and watch this whole thing didn't show up. As I've read, there's only, I think they said there's 8 teams that stopped in and actually watched the 40-minute workout session. And it was like the Philadelphia Eagles, the Chiefs, the Jets, Redskins, 49ers, Lions, Titans. Of course, now Kaepernick's agent, Jeff Nally, I think I'm saying his name, Nally, saying that his client, because of this distraction which the league caused, basically he wasn't able to get the proper attention. He wasn't able to be provided the best opportunity to show himself off. And because of this, he probably will now not be signed by a team. So, I mean, you know, I feel like this has kind of been the conspiracy theory, if you will, with Kaepernick, you know, wondering, like, is there some truth to this? Is the league really blocking him? Are the powers that be kind of holding this guy back? And this certainly kind of leads right into that. Now, I first of all, I kind of want to get you guys' thoughts on this workout to begin with, and whether or not Kaepernick has a point, or I should say his agent has a point to what he's saying. But I want to talk about Kaepernick, too, as just a player, because honestly, his name keeps popping up every time there's a team in need of a quarterback. And honestly, I don't really know if it needs to. I don't know if at this point it should. So, I mean, let's get into this. First of all, what do you guys think about that the league actually went ahead and scheduled a private workout for Mr. Kaepernick?
We'll let you start, Ray. You want to start?
I'll start. I don't care. All right. So many things. My first confusion when I first heard that this workout was going to happen at all was normally, like, when they bring players in, it's on a Tuesday. Mm-hmm. This was scheduled for a Saturday. So that was my first kind of weird question. Well, why is his getting specifically on a Saturday the day before most teams have games? Right. So most of the head coaches probably aren't going to show up. Now, obviously, I don't know how often head coaches show up to these workouts anyway. I don't know if outside of the combine, I don't know how much of this they do. Usually they probably would just send representatives and stuff anyway. But it just didn't make sense why specifically it was a Saturday, let alone this Saturday. I'm not sure why, because the trade deadline's already passed. He's not signed to a team, so he can sign, I guess, in theory, any time anyway. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of confused with the whole timing. But regardless,
I think he has till the end of November, if I remember right, that you can sign with a team. It's the same thing with Gronkowski right now. Maybe I'm off on that. Okay,
so then maybe, all right, well, then that at least partially answers it. But as far as the workout itself, now, based on the teams that did show up, I only see 2 teams there, Washington and maybe Tennessee, that really need a quarterback. I mean, I guess you can think Detroit would possibly need one depending on how serious this fracture is to Matt Stafford's back. But the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Jets, the Niners, they don't need quarterbacks. I mean, Sam Darnold's not great, but I mean, I'm assuming he's their franchise
He's not
quarterback
anywhere.
going there.
Yeah.
So I don't even, these teams, this just seems like it was just for a show almost, because they're not really in the Colin Kaepernick market. The teams that I thought would have needed one would be like Miami, because they're, always
Because they're
using
Miami.
a replacement.
Yeah.
Carolina, since clearly Cam Newton is not going to be their future. Denver, obviously, they need everything, but a quarterback is ideal. So the teams that I thought would be there did not show up, or because he changed it. But that's where I get into the issue. So I have no idea why he decided to change it to this high school when you have an NFL facility with all of the equipment and anything you possibly need right there for you. I guess he just kind of wanted to control the narrative, is what I'm assuming was the case. I'm still a little thrown off on why there was an issue with the liability waiver. I feel like that might be a standard practice.
Yeah, from everything I've read, that is a very standard practice.
I'm not sure why he put up such a tissy over that. I also don't understand why the league would not allow him to have, if he wanted to have his own camera crew, what the hell does that hurt? I mean, they can put their camera crew out there too, and
which was also his point.
So be it.
His agent wrote in and said, if it's our workout, what's the problem with us having our camera crew?
Yeah, I don't see. I mean, I guess that just goes to show you how powerful editing can be, and they can maybe make him look better than he did, or I don't know, whatever they do with
it. Could I mean
camera,
I've also read that the Atlanta Falcons have their own like an in-house camera crew that could have.
So they
They
could
didn't
have.
want to interfere.
Yeah. See, so I don't know. To me, I did see what Stephen A. Smith, he posted a video. I didn't agree with him in full, but looking at the whole grand scheme of things, it doesn't seem like Kaepernick really wants to play. Because if he wants, if I wanted to, if you just treat it as a worker-employer relationship, right? If I want a job and they tell me this is what I have to do for the interview,
That's what you do.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, because that's what, if you want the job, this is what I want you to do, then just do it. Now, obviously the NFL is a different beast in itself, and they have different rules and requirements, but I don't see why he wouldn't just follow them. I mean, I can't imagine they were asking him to do much that they would have asked anyone else to do. It didn't seem like what they were asking of him was anything outside the norm, so he should have just done that stuff. Even if he wanted to do his own private workout or whatever afterwards, so be it, but he should have just done whatever they asked of him. So it sounds like he kind of wanted too much control of the narrative, and he still clearly has a chip on his shoulder with the league. So even if someone was to hire him, it's definitely going to cause a distraction.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how it wouldn't. So I think he needs to just accept that his time in the NFL is done. And, there's a XFL coming up in the winter. You should try maybe go play there, or even go up to Canada. They always are looking for misfits that used to play in the NFL.
The Island of Misfits.
Honestly, his message that he's trying to get across, outside of football, he can still do. But as far as football goes, I think he's burned the bridges with the NFL, so he needs to just kind of
Couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, you bitch, you moan. The NFL gives you a chance, and you take that chance and you make it about you instead of you trying to find a job. And that just proves the point that everybody's been making, is that your ego is bigger than your game, and you're not above. One person is not above the league. And we've seen other players try that. We won't mention like that person's name, but it doesn't work.
Right.
You are not bigger than the league, and you have to remember that. And if you're given a chance and you have all these different things that you want that are different than what the NFL, follow the rules. Like Ray said, you're given rules. If you can't follow them, then don't be in the league and stop bitching about it.
Before I let Jamie go in on here, I want to say, if our viewers didn't see that video, you probably should watch it. And I couldn't agree more with what Ray just said. I'm not usually much of a Stephen A. Smith fan. I think he's kind of an ESPN blowhard, really. But he does make some valid points
Yeah, he makes
on
some
this.
great points.
And one of the things kind of going right along with what Ray said on that, and Dave Smith said too, you're right. If you're treating it like an employer-employee type thing, you do what they say. Everybody in this world works for somebody, right? And I don't agree with everything I've been told in the past
Exactly.
too. Oh, you can't wear jeans to work. You can't do this. You can't. You're not. There's a lot of things, but you know what? If you want to work there, you do them.
Do them exactly.
And with this, to follow what seems to me, I mean, maybe it's more complicated than I'm getting here, but if they're giving you a workout after 3 years of not playing in the game, my God, take that opportunity. You've got a chance to go back and make a ton of money. Shut your mouth for 5 minutes and just play along. And he said it. Stephen A. Smith said it in there, where I don't think there was any doubt that if he had just played by the rules, he probably would have walked away from that workout with a job.
Yeah.
Because his name is still always circulating. It always is. This is your shot. And I hate even saying this, but the first thing he does, you want to come in and you want to directly piss on the people that you're trying to impress. He comes in, he was wearing a Kunta Kinte shirt. I mean, the Kunta Kinte reference is because he's said openly that he feels that team owners are kind of like slave owners, and he's like a slave in it. So he wears a shirt. This is Kunta Kinte, who in the series Roots was the main character, the slave in it. It's a really, really, really piss poor message to send out to the people who are probably going to give you a job. I can't put it any other way. It's. I certainly wouldn't show up to an interview here and go, guess what? I'm going to be, once you hire me, I am going to be the biggest distraction you could possibly see. Let's talk about salary.
It doesn't work that way.
It's the wrong message. Jamie, you got anything to add?
Yeah, you know what? You're saying that you'd show up and what's my salary? That's not even remotely what he did. What he actually did was far worse. Basically, he did this workout, whipped it out on the table and said, your move, NFL. And I'm paraphrasing, but I'm not far off. But that's literally what he did. Basically, I'm this damn talented. Now sign me. It's your move. That really, dude, that's what you threw out there. Besides the fact that you're a 32 quarterback, that is a 32-year-old quarterback, that is massively polarizing to both the locker room and your entire community, whoever the hell you send them to.
Right.
That also has a career completion percentage under 60%, which quarterback X, Y, and Z that's currently playing in the NFL that you claim you're better than is better than. 60% is the low bar right now, and there are quarterbacks currently in the NFL that are hovering around that are looked at as having a piss poor season. So let me sign a 32-year-old quarterback that has a worse career completion percentage. How about
hasn't played in 3 years?
Hasn't played in 3 years, and additionally has 72 career passing touchdowns in 6 damn seasons. We're not talking about somebody who's throwing for 30 or 40 a year. We're at best we'll say roughly he can get you 16 to 18. That's Tyrod Taylor numbers. He's already a quarterback in the NFL. Go trade for him in the offseason from the Chargers if you want somebody that has the same physical gifts.
Right. That's
going to give you the same thing. At least Tyrod Taylor will throw for 70% completion.
Well, and here's the other thing that I think a lot of this gets lost in the mix is everybody says, oh, well, Colin Kaepernick, got to get him in there. He's still talented. He's probably more talented than a lot of the guys in the NFL. When Colin Kaepernick got cut, when he took the knee and got cut a short time later, he was already a backup.
Yes.
He wasn't a starter.
To Blaine Gabbert.
Right.
I'm throwing that name out there one more time. Blaine friggin' Gabbert.
He was already a backup.
Yeah.
Now, if this whole issue with him taking a knee, if that had never happened and he got cut the next season, nobody would have batted an eye. You would have never heard his name again. Everybody would have just said, hey, he just wasn't as talented of a quarterback. Get him out. That's how it goes. But because he took that knee and there was a controversy around it, 3 years later, we're still dropping his name.
Yes.
There's thousands of quarterbacks out there, thousands of them. that have come through the league, and I mean, there's probably hundreds that are available right now if a team really wanted to go looking. Yeah, could he be talented? He might be. But what it really comes down to is he talented enough to take the drama that comes with him? I don't know. I don't know if anybody would even bother taking that risk when there's so many in line that would absolutely take his job in a heartbeat and probably come with zero drama.
Well,
That's what it comes down to.
Well, even that, wiping the protest away. If it was done, it's totally fine. But if he's actually trying to rebound and claiming he wants to play football and get back and everything, he's taking a lot of steps to totally diminish not only his original protest, but also the desire that he wants to have a huge stage to continue on. I mean, really, a lot of the just secondary actions he has with this are just, and they're kind of like just a child throwing a tantrum. Unfortunately,
it is.
You nailed it right there.
Which I hate. I really totally hate to say it this way, because when these first happened, I know it's it's ugly on certain areas, regardless of race, gender, anything that he's talking about. Everybody who argued with that had a point, at least. What he was protesting, he's right. It's a horrible thing. The veterans protesting, that's also true. That's a horrible thing. But at the end of all of it, if he was using that to take a stand for what he was doing, instead of kind of making a circus out of his own workout as a public figure, and basically standing on a soapbox and almost turns it into a joke, which I think that's about as deplorable as it can be. Because what he was originally talking about is something that was very serious, that should be addressed and talked about. But then he made a joke out of it with the socks. I don't have to mention those. Made a joke out of it again this past weekend with a friggin' Kunta Kinte shirt. You're making a joke out of yourself instead of sticking to what you claimed were your beliefs. I think it's just a horrible thing all around. I can't even stand the entire situation. So
it's tough, man.
And
the worst thing about it is it's I heard this, or I seen this written in something. Being in the NFL, because he was in the NFL and wants another workout, wants to get back in. It's not a right; it's a privilege.
Yes,
to be back in there. And treat it as such. Don't treat it like, well, now I got my workout and I'm going to turn it into my own little media circus. I don't know, man. It's tough. It's a very tough call, but
really go back to the work that he was doing as far as with the initial protest. I know he was donating his salary at the time to organizations and groups that were meant to be directed exactly at what he was talking about. Is that kind of, it's essentially a hate crime, unfortunately. But a lot of that is getting lost in his message. That I don't like. I really don't. His original message was powerful and strong, and it was well directed. And it's turned into a circus with just this workout. At least before the workout, it was still there, and now it's all over the place. And hopefully, he can right the ship long term if he wants to kind of maintain some credibility with what he wants, and that deserves credibility.
I don't think he'll play again.
I don't either. I don't either. I really do hope he writes it more for the long-term protest more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, maybe like what Ray was saying, XFL. That's not a bad idea. That's actually a great idea if he still really, truly wants to play that game. But and I think he could be effective if he went into something like that. But
I think football's not his agenda at all.
Not the NFL.
I don't think any of it. I don't think football in general is his agenda.
Yeah, you're probably right all the way around. So, I don't know. Anyways, let's wrap it up on that. You guys got any last comments? Anything you want to add to that?
No. I think we've murdered that one.
Absolutely. Screw Antonio Brown. So
nice.
I'm kidding. I don't call him that. I call him the receiver.
There you go. He's the guy.
Yes.
That guy.
You guys got a game we're watching this week or what?
Yeah, Buffalo, Denver.
Oh yeah, they're both.
You know what?
They're both going to be there.
Yeah, I'm not going to say a word. I'm going to watch Buffalo and Denver and enjoy a few beers with Ray. That's what I'm looking forward to.
And dive on some tables.
No, I'm going to avoid that like the plague. All right, that's not happening. So
I'm looking forward to the Green Bay San Francisco game Sunday night.
Ooh, be a good one. Oh, and you know what? Just so we can throw that out there, how did we do this past week against the D-line?
We did all right. We're still overall we're down by 1 point.
We lost that 1 week.
Yeah.
We lost 1 week, and it screwed us all up. So now they're officially one
1 point. 1 point ahead. Yep.
It's getting close.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, thanks to Sil on that show who brought me in Skeletor cereal. It was the greatest thing ever.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It came with like one of those little Funko Pops in there.
I had to keep that a surprise for the last few days, by the way.
It was great, man. So if you're out there watching, thank you, Sil. I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
We're good? I want to
good.
go home. All right, let's call it. And I guess for Ray, for Moss, and for Jamie, I'm Rich. We will check you out next week. And in the meantime,
Not
enjoy.
me.
Oh, you're out.
I'm
We have Ray
out.
Party in next week.
Oh, that's right. You're going to Florida.
Yeah.
Off to Florida.
All right. I guess we'll have to suffer through Ray Party coming.
Oh, I know. Oh no.
Kid brother, we love you.
Please no.
We'll check in with you guys next week.
We out.
Cheers.
Later.
Later.
Later.